not acting colorblind.
So Shalom. First and foremost, I'm start off by saying Barakatham, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai B'Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom. All right, so Lord willing, through the Spirit, I want to go into this lesson. It's titled, White is an identifying factor of the wicked. And it's a video I came across earlier on social media, and it's so crazy that in the Spirit, when I watched the old video of El Apostle Rumlai did it, going into how it's titled E tried to erase history. Going into how the book of the 10 tribes, going into how they tried to erase documents and things as such of the Northern Kingdom, right? To push their narrative, push their lies as they're the true Israelites, so they had to erase documents, things of that such, because when you really understand it, you understand, right? You understand that, you understand that, that the Edomites are the so-called white man. How we know that? Through the scriptures, right? And they know who they are. This is what they know who we are, right? It speaks about it in that article. It speaks about how well, that book. It speaks about how they got certain things hid, like the Vatican library, things that. So they got those things hid, but the elites know these things, but they hide them behind the scenes because they want to push to the world that they're the chosen. They want to push to the world that they're the Israelites. But there's documentation that can show, even though the scriptures show as well that they're not. But they got the whole world deceived and drunken, Revelation 17, right out there fornication that the world believes and run with this narrative, right? But we know who the Edomites are through scripture, right? We'll bring out a few if I play the video. Right? It's Malachi 1 and verse 4, right? Matter of fact, real quick, I'm gonna go to chat. I'm gonna ask chat something. I know they probably won't give me the answer I'm looking for, because they control all this, but I'm gonna say, who runs the world today? What race of people? You probably gonna say it's diverse, this and that. Yeah, no single race runs the world, blah blah. Okay, let me ask this. And this is the thing too. See, Esau I had a class in college. It was called critical whiteness studies, right? And in that class, we were going to how when Esau feels he's outnumbered from other nations or other races, that's when he called the Italians and he called all them Russians, but it's like he called all them. That's when he bring them to the white race, so-called white race. But those Italians, the French, all of them are Edomites, man. That 7 heads, that's a conglomeration of the Edomite Empire, right? The French, Germania Major, which is Germany, Great Britain, Greeks, the Romans, these all are Edomites, right? So I asked, right? So I asked him who run the world. He didn't want to tell me, right? So I said, so what race has the most wealthiest people? Is it not white people? He said, if you look at a global wealth distribution, it's true that many of the world's richest individuals are currently classified as white, but that's not because of anything to inherit to race. It's largely the result of historical and geographic factors, right? He says a big share of extreme wealth is concentrated in the regions like United States and Europe, because what the United States not come out of Europe? The United States not stem out that bottomless pit. The 8th head comes with the 7th head. The 7th head is Great Britain, which Great Britain still has his, America still gets his marching orders from there, right? But if you, of course, chat ain't gonna give us the exact answer, right? But if you understand it through the Spirit, if men be ignorant, let them be ignorant. But if men truly understand, he understand that. What? Right? Well, let's read Malachi 1:4. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return to build desolate places. It's at the Lord Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people whom the Lord Yahweh had indexed forever. So the Edomites in the scriptures are referring to the border of wickedness. They're the wicked, which we know the Edomites are so-called white man, right? So the Edomites are the wicked, right? Let's go to Job 9 and 24, right? Job 9 and 24. It says the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So the earth is given to the hands of the Edomites. Who run the earth? If a man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. You know these so-called white people run the earth. The top banking families, these rich, these so-called white men, right? It says he covered the face of the judges thereof. If not, where who is he? Did he not come in and push the so-called, push this white JC, whitewash everything through the Renaissance? Did he not do that? Right? He try to turn everything as if the so-called white man is the true Israelite, the Rothschild, and they not Tassalah heritage, call themselves the Edomites, which Edom means red, and Rothschild meaning what? Red shield, right? You know, it's fact is showing it, but you know, people won't accept it because Esau, Edom has pushed us. They're the true people. They're the Jews. They're the Israelites because they know the discretion that's going to come upon them because they know who we are and they know who they are. So they want to try to turn things around. You know, that's why you're gonna have the war here. They want to fight. They're trying to fight for eternal life. You know, Lord willing, when I'm uploading this, I'll put the title, I'll put the link to Elder Pastor Ramla lesson in this. You should watch it, Lord willing. It was very edifying, just going into how you know that book about how Esau Edom is hiding the heritage. You know, it's like he was burning documents. He was burning history. He was trying to hide history because at that time, especially when the Renaissance first started, they came out whitewashing everything. When they came out their bondage after those 1,000 years, right? After it was down those 1,000 years, they came out whitewashing everything as if they were the Israelites, pushing it across everywhere, you know. So in order for them to do that, what they had to do, they had to get rid of the evidence that showed who the Israelites were, you know. That's why you have, right? That's why it says in Isaiah 25, right, in verse 7. It says, and he will destroy in the mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. What's that covering cast? Right? So-called Indian savages, so-called Mexicans, so-called blacks, so-called, Esau used these to try to disorient everything. One of the scriptures the Elder Apostle Romla brought out, right? Job 13 and 4. You are forgers of liars. Forgers meaning to make stick things. So they pushed and enforced the so-called white man is the Israelite, so-called white man is the chosen, so-called white man this and that, right? And then the indigenous are savages. They're the Judah tribe of Judah, so-called black. He's a gangster. He's a YN. They pushed all these things. They pushed his narrative, right? They pushed all these things so that they can uphold their lie. And they got rid of any evidence. That's why you get on the internet just now, we type in who run the world. Everybody in the world know who run the world. But you get on the internet, it's the theory. You can't really say one people. Man, one people rule this damn place. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked. The Edomites are the wicked. It's who? Today, the so-called white man, right? Edom meaning red, Esau meaning wasted away. Lord willing, which we're going to get into. But I want to get into this, right, Lord willing, right? Could have brought out as well some preachers that come to mind when we think of it. It just slipped my mind. Read Job 9:24. Earth given to the hands of the wicked. I was gonna read Daniel 4:17 where it says the Most High set up the basis of men. Then go read in Job 31 how Esau, they're the base of men, builders of the earth. This scripture to show you that who these people are, but they try to hide from who they are and try to steal a heritage because they don't want to accept it. Because when you understand it, Bible dictionary tells you the Edomites are who? Edomites are the people, only people in the Bible who are going to receive no mercy from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They don't want the judgment that's going to come upon the Edomites, so they try to push everything else if they're not Edomites. But in order to go into today, right? The title lesson is so-called white, because there ain't no such thing as white, black, none of that. Of colors. We went by nations. There's 18 nations, 17 or 18 including us. They come from Noah's son, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. You go to I went into it a while ago, probably like a couple weeks ago. The prophetic line, the patriarchal line, come from Shem, on down. Matter of fact, let me see. I still got a picture of it. I'll read it. Right. So you got Shem. Well, you had You have Shem, then you have Aphrodite, then he begets Salah. You can read about Genesis 5, right? Matter of fact, we just go to it. We go to it real fast, Lord willing, right? But that patriarchal line, you know, because all nations come from these three, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? So when you go to Shem, it's round about right. Should be coming up around about right here. Actually, I think it's Genesis. Is it 10? Yeah, it's like Genesis 10, right? Genesis 10, right? So, okay. Right? So, you had the children of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Ephraim, Lul, Aram. The children of Aram, so right then, right, he go to Aphrodite, he begat Salah. Salah begat Eber, right? Eber begat two sons, was Peleg, right? Then on down, you see Peleg from on down, you got, you know, on down that line, you get Nahor and Terah. Well, Terah was Abraham's father, right? Then you got Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's the chosen lineage, right? It's the chosen lineage of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You read on down and see it, right? You know, right? Understanding it, right? But that chosen lineage, but Edom came and tried to push everything. Oh, he white, he Chinese. We by nations. It's 18 nations on the earth, right? You have us, the Israelites, Northern Kingdom, which is one nation. You have the other 17 nations, right? You know, it's like Amalek, those people over there those people who over there in our land right now, they're like descendants of. That's why I said the least, because they're like Esau, like their great grandfather, their grandfathers, things that said. Oh, I said the least of the flocks to draw them out, you know, right? But when you understand how the things are said, but that's why the scripture say the earth is out of course, because Esau don't push that covering cast. But Lord willing, we're gonna go into today how they tried to make white seem so. We're finna show you how white was an identifying factor of the wicked, going all the way back to Cain. But Lord willing, we're gonna play this video, then you know we'll bring out some scriptures. Lord willing, is edifying, right?
Color and stop acting colorblind. Because like I said, imagine if you really couldn't see color, you wouldn't know how to live. It is through color that nature tells you what's good for you. Right. So act like you don't know the color white ain't bad. Act like you don't know snow is white, and when snow comes, summer leaves, all life and vegetation stops. Act like you don't know parasites and maggots is white, and when they come, they kill you from the inside out. Act like you don't know the white man, every time he jumped off the boat in a foreign land, at least 85% of the people that was there before him become eradicated. Act like you don't know the color white reflects light. Act like you don't know that sunlight actually gives you intelligence, and by the white man just being white, he's actually reflecting and rejecting the intelligence from the creator. So how you gonna be? So now that's one, we couldn't have came from the monkey because we never had the monkey blood. For two, white people have 4% Neanderthal DNA, and they're only 96% human being. Black people are 100%.
Okay, I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna go read on that earlier about the Neanderthal DNA thing and such, but the point earlier one was the beginning of the video. Speaking of, you know, showing how that white is an identifying factor of that wicked, right? So when we go to Genesis 3 real fast, we'll read a little bit on it. Right, it's about the serpent, right? So it says, Genesis 3 chapter 1, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord Yahweh had made. And the same said unto the woman, yeah, hath Yahweh said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So the serpent was more subtle, meaning crafty, cunning, deceitful. When you understand it, Esau, this the same serpent from the garden, right? It's that same serpent from the garden. When you go to Revelation 20, when it speaks about the Edomites being down that bottomless pit, which is Europe, right? They being down, what it says, Revelation 20 and 2, he laid hold on the dragon, right? That old serpent, the dragon was Roman Empire, which was ruled by the Edomites. That old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound 1,000 years. So these are titles of who? Esau, Edom, right? Which is so-called white men today. They're the physical sons and daughters of Satan, right? But understanding it, right? The reason I brought it out because we understand it. This serpent is not talking about no snake. No, when it says, "Oh, not belly thou shalt go," that's meaning in a low place, low. That should be that confused because they gonna never understand the true knowledge, understanding to get close to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's mean low place, which they are, which they gonna go back to those caves, which they was in during those times before they came out, deceiving and tricking everybody, forcing whitewashing everything, right? You know. But when you understand it, this serpent, which was a melanin man, because everybody had melanin back then, right? Which was a melanin man, right? who had an evil, who when it says eat thereof, right, meaning what, he had an evil spirit on him. He had a knowledge of evil, and the woman wanted to learn that. That's why he deceived her and tricked her, right? So when it says eat thereof, that means she learned the ways of evil, right? She learned the ways of evil, right? Because it was people on the earth. Adam, it wasn't just one man, right? Adam came from parents, right? When you go to Genesis 5 again, right, it says this the book of the generation of Adam, meaning people. Generation of Adam, and day that Yahweh created man in the likeness of Yahweh made he him, because the powers created Adam in the image of him, but Adam had parents. That's why I said male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam, Adamite. I mean, I don't think it's of the ground things as such, right? He said in the day when they were created, right? You know, so you gotta understand that it wasn't just one man created. That's why when he created a woman, when he says he took his flesh and his rib, I mean he created over his people. Because beginning with Adam was when the powers, Elohim, the angels made men in likeness of them. What? Giving men order, right? Giving men the laws and commandments, giving men order. You know, we're supposed to live for eternal. It's on life, right? You know, but that came through messing up as we read in Genesis 3. But when you understand it, you know, the elders broke this down in Genesis 2, right? You can really break down Genesis 2, things that say, speaking on a lot of it, you know, breaking it down clearly into you. Understand it. People are confused. Wasn't just no one man created and everything. No, it was people on the earth. But and Adam was made the likeness, right? And Adam was made the likeness, right? You know, beginning with Adam, which we understand Adam and Yahweh, same spirit, right? But that's why I said she's on the first Adam, second Adam. But when we get to this serpent was a melanin man which had an evil spirit on him. This was Esau Edom is that evil serpent, you know, right? So he was a melanin man who had an evil spirit upon him, right? So that evil spirit, right, come back through Cain, right? And you remember Cain slew his brother Abel, right? What is that? What was that? What a mark upon him. Okay, Genesis 4, right? So this serpent had an evil spirit upon him, and later came back through Cain, right? And we know Cain slew his brother, right? Cain slew his brother. So this is when you finish. This is when you get so-called wife. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna break it down, right? So let's grab this. Genesis 4. Turn the Wi-Fi back on because I want to go to the Blue Letter Bible, right? Genesis 4. I'm already in it. Right? Genesis 4, right? And it's around about 15, right? So when he had killed his brother, things as such, right? We'll start at verse 14. He says, "Behold, thou hast driven me out from this day, right, the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me." Right? And it says, "And the Lord Yahweh said upon him, therefore whoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." Right? So watch the Most High say. He said, "And the Lord Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, that any finding him should kill him." So he put a mark upon Cain. Right? Let's go into that word mark. He put a mark upon Cain, right? So you can identify who the wicked is, right? It says a signal, a sign, a signal, a distinguishing mark, a banner, remembrance, miraculous sign, omen, warning, right? Because this was the white is identified as the wicked, right? Because Cain was cursed with what? Leprosy, right? Let's search that. Let's go to here, right? We'll stay in chat. Was Cain? I'm looking at it from my other phone, but I'll read it out as I just did now. Right. Let's see. I had searched it up earlier. Right? I typed in Cain cursed with leprosy. It says the idea that Cain was cursed with leprosy is a traditional interpretation found in Jewish Midrashic literature such as Genesis, Rabbi, whatever you're talking about. Right? The mark was a protective sign intended to prevent his murder, which some scholars interpret as a physical affliction like leprosy to set him apart. Right? You know? So this leprosy, right? He was cursed with leprosy. Right? He was cursed with leprosy, right? What is leprosy? Leprosy is like when your skin, you know, like your color is basically falling away, right? You search up leprosy, you see like, let's see, leprosy. Let's talk about what leprosy is. Leprosy or Hansen's disease is a chronic curable infection caused by primarily affecting skin and nerves. It causes discolored skin patches, nerve damage, right? So basically his pigment will be gone, right? His pigment will be gone. If you search it up, you will see people then like they changing colors, right? So when you understand it, Cain was wiped away through the flood, right? When Cain was wiped away through the flood, right? When, you know, when the Most High with Noah, right, 40 days, 40 nights, you know, and Cain was wiped away through the flood. All the wicked was wiped away, right? So that evil spirit came back to Esau, Edom. That's why his name came out Esau, because why? Let's read right here, Genesis 25, and we get straight to the point. In 25, it says, the first came out red all over, like in Harry Garment. He came out red all over because why? Right? It says, and they call his name Esau because his pigment was stripped. Esau means wasted away, right? The word Esau means wasted away because his pigment was wasted away, right? He came out. That leprosy, that's when you get the so-called, that's why Esau, look what he is, his blood, the reason he came out red because his blood so forth through his skin. An example I like to use is like raw chicken. When you raw chicken up, you see how you can see the vein. That's how Esau is, man. Like raw chicken, man. You know, right? You know that his pigment was wasted away, right? That's when you get the so-called white people coming into factor, right? Their name was changed to Edom because he ate that. That's like he saw the red pottage. You know, Edom meaning red, and Esau eat all his food rare, right? You know, his steaks be having blood all in thing. He loved that, eating raw food, things of that such, right? Let's go. Let me see. I'm going to the etymology. Etymology is a true definition of word, like the real definition of word. Etymon line, word Esau. Let's see if it gives it to me. I think I tried to search it up before. Let's see. Wasted away is he, right? Right? So Esau's name is sometimes linked to the concept of being wasted away or consumed, a phrase that often highlights the spiritual consequence of his actions rather than just physical appearance, while often interpreted as prophetic nod to his descendants, the Edomites, being laid waste, right? I don't know what they speaking of, but we understand it. He was wasted away, meaning what? His pigment was stripped from him, right? His pigment was stripped from him, right? Yeah, so here it is, the Urban Dictionary, right here it is. The etymology of the name Esau, how you say it in Hebrew, Ishua, right? Esau is the English translation, the Hebrew word Ishua, which means wasted away or day, because they pigment was stripped. When he was born, his parents named him Ishua. Here it is, right? And I'm going to keep this. I need to keep this, right? It's very hard. Got to say, man, sometimes you got to do like deeper research. Right? So this I'll read it again, the etymology of the word Esau, Ishua, right? How you say it in Hebrew, Ishua, right? The English interpretation of Hebrew name Ishua, which means wasted away or day. In Hebrew, when he was born, his parents named him Ishua or Esau, right? Because he was born without pigment or melanin, right? You know, so this is what it says, right? In the layman's term, the Most High wasted away the color of his flesh. Esau is the progenitor of the Edomites, the Caucasian race, right? Esau, Ishua, right? Matter of fact, I know what I can do. Bear with me. I know what I can do. I'm gonna send this to myself. Let's see if it connects to it. Bear with me. So we can get it up on the screen right here. Wait, I gotta turn my Bluetooth back on. Turn this on. Slucky. Okay, there you go. Throughout how about shot, right? So now we got to pull it up right here, right? So you can see it, right? Esau is the etymology of the name Esau, Ishua, right? Esau, the English translation of the Hebrew word Ishua, right, which means wasted away or day. In Hebrew, right, when he was born, his parents named him Ishua / Esau because he was born without pigment or melanin. So So this is when you get the so-called white people coming into factor, right? Because this was the mark put upon that evil spirit, which came back through Cain. I mean, was that evil spirit, that melanin, that serpent in the garden, that melanin man came through Cain, which it came back through Esau, Edom, right? You know, it says in alignment. That one you go to, matter of fact, bear with me. So I can drop my phone. Let's go back here real fast. Let's go to back to Genesis 3, right? When you go down, right, Genesis 3, when Most High cursed, right? So Genesis 3 and 14, right? It says, and the Lord, Yahweh said unto the serpent, was that melanin evil spirit, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field, upon the belly thou shalt go, meaning low place, which there was no cage, which they're going to go back to, right? Let's go to that. We mentioned it earlier, right? We'll go to it. Job 30, right? Right here, right? Starting at verse 5, right? It says, they were driven forth from among men, they cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys and the caves of the earth and the rocks. So what he's talking about? He's talking about Esau, Edom, right? So you understand that's why you go to verse 1, it says, but now that they're younger than me, they have me in derision, right? Because in rank, we're over that. Younger meaning rank, we're over them, right? We're over them. But right now they have us in derision because the Most High set them up, right? It says, whose fathers I would not have this name to set with the dogs of my flock. Yeah, whereto might the strength of their hand profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in the former desolate town and waste, right? Khazarian Empire was in a desolate waste. When you read about it, it says, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried to them as after a thief. Right? Let me see. I'll read about that Khazarian Empire. I want to say that was when they fell. Khazarian Empire. Yep. So it came after the Roman Empire fell. We understand we came into rulership. So you had the Khazarian Empire. Them people was crazy ass people, right? You know, we understand it's the Khazarian Empire, but they dwell in what? Cliffs and mountains. Esau, you don't gonna go back to those caves. That's that low, right? So let's go to it. Let's go back to it. Verse 14 again. It says, and upon every beast of the field, upon that belly thou shalt go. Now that mean no snake, he gonna. That's why a snake. You know the myth they tell you in church. The snake had 2 legs. When he did that, the Most High took his legs. Why snakes? Man, listen, right? Belly. That means low of the low. What's it gonna go back to? Daniel chapter 4 and 7. The basis of men, right? Meaning the low of the low, right? When you go back, that's what I was going to in Job, Salakia. That's what I was going to in Job, right? Job 30. I want that basis of men, right? Let's continue reading out from verse 6. Has to dwell in the cliffs of the valley and caves of the earth and in the rocks, among the bushes of thy brayard under the nettles. They were gathered together. They were children of fools, yet the children of base men. They were villain of the earth. Base men meaning low of the low, right? So let's go back to the Blue Letter Bible real fast. Let's go to Daniel. Let's go to Daniel chapter 4. Old Testament. Daniel chapter 4, right? We're going to show you how this the Edomites. Daniel chapter 4 and verse 17, right? And the reading says, this is the matter decreed by the watchers, the word by the holy ones, the angels, right? He said, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruled in the kingdom of men. Because the Most High controlled it. He set up kings, he bring down kings. He said, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set her up over it the base of men. So he already told you, earth is given to the hands of the wicked. If you can receive, we already told you the wicked is who? Malachi 1 for the Edomites. The Edomites is who? Esau, the so-called white man, which they're picking with script from. That's why they named Esau or Ishua. Well, how you say it in Hebrew, right? Slacky, I'm saying it wrong. Ishua, right? So let's go to where that basis of men is, right? We just read about how that base men, right? Base, right? Lowliest, right? That's who they are as a people. That's why that's that curse put upon them right here. Low of lowly. What they gonna go back to? They finna go back to their first estate, man. They finna go back to their true yard. Right now, they just Most High using them on the left hand side of the field prophecy, right? So it says, and thus shalt thou eat nowadays, that light of many confusion. Once again, they'll never be able to understand the true knowledge, understanding of Yahweh Shah. Verse 15 says, now put an enmity between thee and the woman, right? Genesis 25, that enmity, that separation, right? Two man nations in our womb, right? So this go all the way back to Cain and Abel, man, you know, right? It says, and between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head. What? I mean, we put in low places, right? We bruise our head, we put in low places. He said, that's how bruise his heel, because we're going to bring them down through the spirit of power, That's why it was a prophecy that Jacob he came out, hanging on to Esau's heel. That's prophecy. Bruise our head, because now we're in low places, but Lord, we're gonna be put back in our position soon, Lord willing. Right? And bruise their heel, because we brought them down. It was prophecy that happened. It had to happen. They're gonna be brought down to the lowest. They're gonna be brought back down to their position. Their lowest of the lowliest, right? Base men, right? They cavemen. That's why you don't see movies. That Apostle Rumlai spoke on this a while ago. He made a good point. That's why you don't see movies of cavemen things, because Esau won't erase his. He don't want to show that's him no more, right? You gonna this little cartoon movie they show like the crews. And we even understand in the crew what they do. In the crew, they find the land. They land fall apart. They go find the land. You got to see how Esau he don't move, man. You know, he be trying to hide things, but he can't, because the truth is out now. Take Esdras chapter 6, right? And verse 28. The truth hath been so long without fruit. Now it shall flourish. Let me paraphrase it, right? So now we understand that what Esau, his picking was script, right? That's why he came out. That's why his name Esau, Ishua. Right, wasted away our day, because they picking with script from them. This is where you get so-called white people, right? You know, which their name is what? Edomites. Esau, once again they got the Edomites because they saw the red pottage. They like their food red, like their food bloody, raw, right? In a sense, right? You can see that Esau eat his steak like that. But these are the covered casts they put upon the people. That's why he said they consult thy hidden one. Even us, they put these covered casts over us. Oh, black, Jamaican, Haitian, Mexican, Indian, right? Because they want to try to hide heresy, because they want to be the chosen people, because they know the Edomites going to get a pure punishment, right? Let's see. Let me search that real fast. In the Bible dictionary, right? Let's see if I can get it. What does it bear with me. Receive no mercy. Okay, I'm trying to find it. It ain't really saying nothing, but we understand it. Esau, are the only people that will be given no mercy from the Yahweh Shah. They're going to be destroyed, or they're going to be tied up, burned away. But understand it, right? We know how they came. That's why it says earth is given to the hands of the wicked and cover the face of just thereof, because they try to come and whitewash everything. That's when we go into the Renaissance period. Because why? Esau was down, Jake was ruling, right? Jake was ruling in Europe. Esau was down for those 1,000 years, right? Revelation chapter 20, they come out of that bottomless pit. The bottomless pit was Europe, right? They lacked the resource, lacked the things, so they came out of that. They came out of that bondage for 1,000 years. And what it says, as soon as they came out of those chains, right? What did he do, right? Go out and deceiving everybody. He says, when those 1,000 years were expired, Satan, Esau, shall be loose out of his prison. He should go out to see the nation which are in the four corners of the earth. So that's the first thing he did. Went out whitewashing everything, turning everybody into Israelites. So what they had to do, they had to go burn and get rid of all the evidence showing who the Israelite was. Put covering cast on them. Oh, these are savages. These are this. These are that. These are African American. They did all that so they can try to hide who they are, right? These so-called white people are Esau, it's Esau Edom, and then they come about till when it's picking with script. Esau, it had that melanin. It was script from him with that mark put upon Cain, that evil spirit upon Cain. Right? It came back to Esau Edom, and they picking with script from him, right? Ishua, right? Esau wasted away his day, wasted away his heat. He had no pigment. right? Once again, it's right here again. This is where you get the so-called white from. But it's that mark, right? It's an identifying fact of the wicked. And how to close all that up to show you, right? Let's go to Numbers. And I'm going to go to the NLT, because I never went to the NLT and read it. I still got my phone. Okay, come on. Right? So this is Numbers. Right? This is Numbers chapter. What is it there? That should be. Yep. Numbers chapter 12. Right? We'll start around verse 8. Right? KJV first, right? It says, my servant Moses is not so in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And it's similar to the Lord Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Because he was mad at Miriam, right? Because his sister was disrespecting Moses, right? Matter of fact, let's start at verse 1. It says, and Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. Because they're basically mad at him because he married an Ethiopian woman. Which what? We understand they're the ancient Cushites. Right? That's why you know Ethiopia is going to go back to ancient Cush when you go into Ezekiel 38. Right? You know, was going into what? When Russia and his allies going to come and destroy America. But it said, and they said, hath the Lord Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Because they was basically like trying to disrespect Moses. Now the man Moses is very meek above all the men which are upon the face of the earth. Because that's how you know it's different rank. Most ain't deal with everybody accordingly. Moses was of high stature, man. You know, he ain't deal with everybody accordingly. But it's all work of the same spirit. It says, the Lord Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come ye out, three unto the tabernacle of congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord Yahweh came down the pillar of a cloud, his chariot, right, and stood in the door. And stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam. They both came forth. He said, hear my words. He said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, out of the Lord Yahweh will make myself known unto him in a vision and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. Right? With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not dark speeches. It is not in dark speech, because most I speak in similitude. Right? It says this and the similitude of the Lord Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Telling him, this is a man of high stature. When I speak, I'm speaking through him. So you not foolish to see how I'm dealing with Moses for you to speak towards him and that such. It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from the tabernacle. Behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. Because why? That's an identifying factor of wickedness. It says, and Aaron looked upon Miriam and beheld she was leprous. Right? So Miriam looked, her Most High scripted her pigment for a minute. For however long you scripted from her. Right? You know? He said, what he say in verse 11? And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us. That's the mark of wickedness. Which is upon who? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's that mark of sin. Right? Mark of wickedness. That's who they are. They're the wicked. Right? But they try to make it seem like there's some godly, but man, man, white is identifying fact the wicked. That's that mark, so you can see who they are. Wherein we have done foolishly, wherein we have sinned. All right. So I'm gonna go back up to verse 1, read it in NLT, down to verse 11. It says, while they were at Hazeroth, Miriam and Aaron criticized Moses because he had married a Cushite woman. They said, has the Lord Yahweh only spoken through Moses? Has he spoken through us too? But the Lord Yahweh heard them. Now Moses was very humble, more humble than any other person on earth. So immediately the Lord called to Moses and Aaron and Miriam and said, go to the tabernacle, all three of you. So the three of them went to the tabernacle. Then the Lord Yahweh descended in the pillar of a cloud and stood at the entrance of the tabernacle. Aaron and Miriam he called, they stepped forward. And the Lord Yahweh said to them, now listen to what I say. If there were prophets among you, out of the Lord Yahweh will reveal myself in visions. I would speak to them in dreams, but not with my servant Moses. Of all my house, he is the one I trust. I speak to him face to face. Most I called Moses up to the mount to show him all things, man. He showed him all the things, He said, I speak to him face to face. He said, clearly and not in riddles. he sees the Lord as he is. So why are you not afraid to criticize my servant Moses? Tell him, why you not, what you doing speaking to him like that? You know how a black woman is, right? It says, the Lord Yahweh was very angry with them, and he departed. As the cloud moved from the tabernacle, there stood Miriam, her skin as white as snow from leprosy. This is what Cain was cursed with. That evil spirit. That evil spirit which came on Cain, which came back to Esau Edom, which that pig with script. You know? That's why Esau wasted away a day. Ashua wasted away a day. Right? It says when Aaron saw what happened to her, he cried out, "Oh my master, please don't punish us for this sin we have foolishly committed." You know? So understanding that white is identified fact of the wicked. And that's where you get the white from. That's where you get white from. They picking with script from them. Right? That's why they go out there and get burnt by the sun and shit, man. You know? But don't let Esau fool you, man. See, Esau forced the light. He tried to turn and twist everything. Try to get rid of his, try to get rid of everything. But the scriptures and the crocodiles through the spirit of probably how Bashan shall reveal all these things back into us, man. You know? So this that white identified fact of the wicked. You can see it. You know who they are. You know? But they got everybody deceived and tricked, thinking they're the Israelite, thinking they're the chosen people. They're not. Remember, Rothschild meaning what? Red shield. They're descendants of the Edomites, man. You know? They're the wicked. You know? And Lord willing, in the time it's all gonna be, they've been revealed right now. They've been exposed right now. Most High is making them bare. But in the time when Yahweh see Yahweh shine the angels to crack the sky, they gonna know who the chosen are. You know, beginning with the elect, man. They gonna know who the chosen are. You know, they gonna know who the chosen of Yahweh Bashan Yahushua is. They gonna see Yahweh Shai, the so-called black man. You know, they gonna know that the true powers are Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, man. You know. So that being said, you know, Lord willing, right? Hope this lesson was edifying and exalting. And I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadice. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shout out to the whole elect, starting with the 144,000. Shalom.